to the pod at My Village.
Where we're going to have fun talking all things family preservation, My Village Ministries, and the church's involvement in this important work.
We're Phil and Mel, and we know nothing about having a podcast. I've gone backwards to nothing instead of very little, but we do know a lot about family preservation. And Ben knows a lot about running a podcast now, even if we don't. So,
where would the scale be on 1 to 10
like
on you running a
experience.
podcast?
4?
I was going to say like 4.5.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Huh?
It was initially 1.
Maybe
0.7.
0.7.
Yeah.
Just 0.7.
Grown tremendously in just 15 or 16.
Yeah, we should someday, when it's really good, put out a scale of like where people feel like we started with production value and where we've gotten to.
Yeah, we were just talking about how it's actually started better than dipped a bit, and then now it's come back up. So
I don't know if my fragile ego can handle hearing yet how the production value is, but eventually I'll be ready to hear it.
That's not what we're good at.
No.
But Ben's getting good at it.
Yes, he is. Praise God. Somebody needs to. How's your family weathering this negative 10 plus a foot of snow weather that we're having?
I would say overall good.
Yeah?
Yeah, our kids have fully taken advantage of the snow.
Yeah.
And days off of school. Yours?
My kids built a sweet igloo.
Yeah.
So the plow,
and again, when you say igloo, not really an igloo, but
you'd be
a
impressed.
fort.
All 4 of my kids can lay down fully in this igloo, like stretched out. The plow like pushes, we're at the end of the street, so it pushed all the snow into this massive snowbank, and they just dug it out. There's like windows, there's shelves in there. They like brought like cloth shelves out, dug out a hole in the snow, and like put a drawer in it.
Yeah, I love that.
They had sleeping bags out there. They were trying to play like how long can you stay in the igloo before you die of frostbite.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. I'll show you the video afterwards.
No, unfortunately, in many ways, they don't plow our streets. So we don't have the luxury of already having a mound. So we had to create our own mound.
Yeah.
So we took like 2 hours just to make
Build
a mound so that you could dig into it.
Do they have a sweet igloo then?
Yeah, it's not as impressive that because again, we had to make a mound by hand. But they've thoroughly enjoyed it. All the neighborhood kids come to it and play.
That's awesome.
We went sledding the other day. I was sore like within 3 hours. I got concussed twice.
What age are you like officially too old to sled? Just because your body will break down.
No.
So you think like at 80 you could slide down a hill?
I mean,
without breaking.
Can you? Should you?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was telling when we were sledding the other day, we were sledding at this hill just kind of someone in our neighborhood, actually down this like driveway that leads onto Sunbury Road, which was not an issue because no cars were on it. But I was telling the 2 adults there that I don't think for me, there's nothing more nostalgic than sledding. Name something.
I just love it.
For you.
More nostalgic. Maybe it is sledding.
Isn't it super nostalgic?
And then at the end you come in and you're like about to die and your mom has hot chocolate for you.
It's
so good.
It is the greatest feeling.
Yeah, we have been also though,
Jesus
yes.
And getting married.
Outside of
and
that.
maybe having a kid.
Yeah, there's a few things about that.
It's like number 4.
The other greatest thing is when you're on the beach. You've been on the beach like all day and you're starving and sandy and hot and you jump into the pool back at the hotel. Washes the salt water off you. That's also the greatest feeling.
Which we'll be doing here soon.
We will be when we go to Florida.
Lord willing.
I texted some friends though, getting back to how we're weathering this. Our kids have been out of school now. This is the 3rd day in a row. Sunday also was like you couldn't drive anywhere because it was unsafe. I texted a friend yesterday that 60% of my children had already cried that day. And they were like, still time for the other 40%. So there is also, there have been like these really high highs where everybody's playing a board game and having a great time. We're building an igloo. And then there's been times where everybody's like, I'm sick of your face.
Yeah.
And we're going to get in a fight about nothing.
Correct.
That's Jeff and I
was
mostly
doing,
talking to each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, Aaron and I are doing it just to spice things up. Like so stir crazy. It's like, hey, let's get in a fight for a while.
Yeah. Just to break up the monotony.
Yeah. She enjoyed it.
That makes sense.
I'll ask you the first question today.
Okay.
If you were to go back in time on your wedding day and how do I want to ask this? make one change to what your wedding day was all about, what you did, how you structured things, who you invited, whatever it may be, what would be that one thing that you change?
Well, I definitely have something in mind, but I will say that the things that mattered the most to me happened, which were I got to invite a lot of people. We invited like 260 people to our wedding.
Did Jeff want that?
He was fine with it.
Yeah.
He doesn't really get to say.
No, it's fair.
We invited 260 and 235 came. So it was like
That's
a very
impressive.
high
That's a
percentage.
strong percentage.
I think because we are so local to Ohio, not many out of town guests. So I wanted a lot of people there and I wanted to look great. Those were like the two things that mattered to me. How Jeff looked didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like how anything else
cared
went.
more about how
I wanted
the
as a
church
bride.
looked as opposed to how Jeff looked.
Yes. The bride of Christ needs to be more beautiful. No.
If Jeff could have wore whatever he wanted, what would he have worn?
Jeff is actually like at his heart a much fancier dresser than me. Yeah, like he really likes the old school style where you would where men like wore suits all the time and looked really nice.
Yeah.
If he could be in Mad Men, I think he would. Just like the 60s office vibe.
I didn't know that about Jeff.
Yeah.
Glad I know that.
Yeah. But the one thing I would change is we got married pre Pinterest and pre like spending hardly any money on your photographer. So our pictures are like pretty lame. Yeah. They're just us posing in front of a church. They're not, or like up on the altar of our church where we grew up. And they're not well lit. And there's no like creative ones of just Jeff and I. There's like a couple of us standing up. I mean, essentially what my parents' wedding pictures look like, ours also look like. Yeah. And now, like even by the time my sister got married, which she did get married, I think 10 years after me. They have like amazing pictures. They spent a lot of money on their photographer. So it just has changed a lot. And our pictures are pretty lame. All right, you ready for your question?
I am.
What is the worst job that you've ever had?
Worst job? McDonald's.
You worked at McDonald's?
Yeah.
Man, you know so much more about me than
only for like maybe 2 months.
What was so bad about it?
Just I was stuck behind a girl sweating.
Yeah. That sounds terrible.
Too many hours.
You have like really good friendships left over from that.
I ended up, a lot. I wanted to get a job during school.
Yeah, how old were you?
I was like 16. I think actually 15. And I wanted to get a job during school, like while school was in session. Mm-hmm. And it just turned out to be a really poor decision. Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah. But what like pushed you over the edge to quit after only 2 months? Just hated it. Yeah. Hated every day.
Making $4.75 an hour.
Our kids have such bougie lives now.
That's like, probably not too far off what I got paid back then.
My first job was $6.25 an hour. So you're a little bit older than me, so I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the first thing I ever got paid for was like 50 cents to go help babysit when a mom was home in our neighborhood, and I was only like 8. So I was like playing with her kids for 50 cents an hour.
Use half of that on a gumball machine on the way home.
No, I would never waste money that way.
A lot of kids would.
Yeah. Well, happy for you getting that time at McDonald's.
Me too. What's one thing that you've recently changed your mind about?
Oh gosh. What have I recently changed my mind about? Oh, I have one.
Yeah.
Okay. Something I've recently changed my mind about is I've hated seafood my entire life. And I think it's because I grew up in a big family and the only version of seafood I got to try was fish sticks, frozen fish sticks. And then my parents would get this imitation crab. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Just like dip it in butter at the table. I just did not like it. I've not enjoyed the taste of fishiness or salt water at all throughout my life. But Jeff has recently taken over all the grocery shopping and cooking. That's like the piece of the household chores that he really owns.
Yep.
And so he's been cooking fish for us more often. I still don't love like a really fishy fish, if that makes sense. But the way
so you
he's
wouldn't
making,
like salmon?
Yeah, I mean, I've had salmon a couple times because he's made it, which I wouldn't have even tried it in the past. So that's new for me. I still don't want like shrimp or like scallops, so anything like rubbery.
Yeah, that resembles snot.
Yeah, But like a good tilapia or mahi mahi, like the way Jeff cooks it is really good.
Yeah.
So,
Did you ever eat at Long John Silver's growing up?
probably not. We again 6 kids.
No,
Like
that's
the
fair.
$1 menu at McDonald's was the fanciest
Yeah.
meal out.
But
we
never
ever
like
went
during
to.
college or anything like that.
No, because I
Road
didn't
trip.
like seafood that whole time. But Jeff
Yeah, but
did.
you know how they had chicken there? Like they also had chicken.
Yeah.
And you would order like a combo platter of chicken and fish, and you still didn't know what you're eating.
You didn't
When
know
you,
which
like,
one was chicken.
Was that just chicken that I
It's
ate or
just
fish?
90% breading and fry sauce.
He's dipping
No.
in tartar sauce and hope for the best.
Jeff took the kids once though when I was out of town. He took them to I think Long John Silver's or Red Lobster, somewhere like that, and he told them they had to try a piece of shrimp, and they were all like, "Ew, no!" Like they were really young, terrible palates. They talk about it to this day how traumatizing this was. Like, Dad forced us to eat it, and it was the worst day of my life. I mean, they're so dramatic about it, and Jeff is like, I give up as a parent. Like,
pun intended.
horrified.
It's become a fish story where it's just been exaggerated over the years.
Yes.
It's bigger and bigger.
They were like, we threw up and then Dad made us eat it again. Like it just keeps amplifying.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think should be, and what is your interaction with the news? Like if you're a believer in the world today, how much should you interact with the news? How little should you? Like what is kind of Christians' responsibility with like current events? If that makes sense.
Too tough of a question.
Yours was hard too, even though it's way easier. My answer had to do with seafood.
Yeah. Well, you know this, that I've kind of taken somewhat of a sabbatical from the news.
Yeah.
I kind of go in waves where I get involved and listen to a decent amount. And then I realize that I'm just angry now. So I need to take a break from it.
Yeah. It's a heavy weight to carry.
It is. And I think when you run an organization like ours, you do have to have a pulse on what's happening in culture more than you would if you like were working at McDonald's.
Yeah.
No knock on that, but we have to be aware of kind of what's happening in culture because it impacts the families we serve. It impacts the ways that the church engages, decisions that we need to make that reflect wisdom and stuff like that. So it does vary based upon kind of your position in life, vocationally, maybe more than anything. I think it's, yeah.
Do you feel like
it's a personal conviction?
Yeah, you're taking a break from it. So do you feel like maybe it's something you have to almost sabbatical from a little bit? Like be engaged, you need to be engaged, but then pull back and don't let the worries of the entire world rest on your shoulders.
Yeah,
they can't.
and social media I'm not on social media, but I think just all things media know how to get you hooked.
Yeah.
With like emotions of fear and anger and stuff like that. And so ultimately I think oftentimes when you get consumed by it, it just feeds your flesh and not your spirit at all. So yeah, I think you have to be really sensitive to that. But also we are called as Christ followers to care about the welfare of the city. Mm-hmm. And so I think we need to we have to be aware of what's going on, maybe more important locally than nationally. Mm. Even though I think most people, myself included, focus more on the national thing. And I think also in light of that, we're not meant to carry the weight of 8 billion people.
Yeah.
Of what's happening with 8 billion people. But now we live in a small world because of how fast things travel.
Well, it's probably kept you from, like, if you just knew maybe the hard stuff and the good stuff that like the 4 neighbors closest around you were going through, that probably would be enough for you to like care about, serve.
Absolutely.
But now we almost don't have the bandwidth to know our neighbors anymore because we're trying to carry the weight of 8 billion people or the news going on all over the world. So I agree. There's this tension of we need to be somewhat well-informed of what's going on, be able to have a critical voice, but we just can't carry it all or get like so engrossed in it that it becomes an idol or a major distraction from what God's calling you to.
And if I were a betting man, which I'm not, or am I? No, I am not.
Just for clarity.
Yeah.
Bill's not a gambler.
Just on Tuesdays. if you were to poll people who, I don't even know what the question would be, but on a scale of like engaged to disengaged, and you're somewhere in between, if you're on more of the half of disengaged, I bet those people are just happier people.
Yeah. If you just compare,
Yeah.
like there's a chart, and here's like the number of minutes you spend watching the news a week. Here's your joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've noticed with
It
myself.
would be like,
so it's like, yeah, why do I want to murder everyone right now? Oh, it's because I've been watching nonstop news for 14 hours. So,
yeah,
anyway.
that's a good answer. That is what I thought you would say.
Well,
shall
we?
Yeah. You ready to talk about community engagement?
Community engagement. So 8 years ago, when we started this whole thing of child hosting, I learned pretty early on with the Cincinnati chapter that we were kind of shadowing of this idea of supply and demand. Meaning you have to work hard enough in the community to build up enough what we call referring agencies that can refer families to you. And at the same time, you have to raise up and equip enough churches that can meet that supply. So they're the demand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And hopefully that makes sense for you all out there.
Yeah.
And,
it's not like a perfect analogy, but it definitely helps you understand it.
So essentially why there needs to be a balance is that if you're working with referring agencies out there and you're wanting to raise them up, saying that we can meet these needs of isolated families in crisis, but you don't have enough churches to meet that demand, then those organizations are going to get frustrated because you said, hey, I thought you said you can support these families, but you're never saying yes. But at the same time, you can't raise up too many churches too quickly and not have enough referring agencies, because then your churches and volunteers would grow frustrated because they're like, hey, we thought you said that we could start.
This is like a real need.
Coming alongside families, but we're not getting calls.
Yeah.
And so there was this juggling act that we had to play out initially that we worked pretty hard on. And so, but then 3 years later, we hired you because we wanted, one of the things that I wanted you to focus on was working with the community and raising up agencies. And so would you mind just speaking a little bit more to that supply and demand, the importance of it, and what that looked like for you early on with working with agencies out there?
Yeah. Yeah, I think probably at face value, someone would assume it's a lot harder to find churches or host families who are willing to have kids in their home for free than it would be to find referring agencies who are sending kids your way. But I think one of the battles that we're fighting is that foster care as a solution for vulnerable families has been in place for so long. It's such common vernacular that when people who are working in kind of family-facing agencies run into families who are vulnerable, that's kind of like the first thing that jumps into their mind. And so we're working hard to shift to this new idea of family preservation. And most of the organizations we're trying to partner with are not Christian organizations. They have government funding, so they're already leery of this idea of separation of church and state. They're leery of the fact that people would be doing this for free. There must be some kind of poor motivation there. And so as much as it takes a lot of work to kind of mobilize and give the church a vision for what it is that they should be doing in the world around them, there's a lot of work to do to convince the world, hey, you can trust the church in this solution. And if we are proactive, it can make a huge difference in this family's life instead of being reactive. And so I've had to, over time, think hard about how to message that well, where a skeptical social worker at a hospital is not thinking, oh, this is the church just trying to take this kid and manipulate them into becoming a Christian and force the parent to hear the gospel or something like that. I think there's some assumption that the church might have some poor motives there. And so I've had to highlight for them from a non-Christian perspective, what a win it could be for this family to receive support before they're broken apart. And it's been exciting to see it take place, but it's kind of like this constant effort to go back and do again. But we did this activity, or I did this activity with some of our volunteers when we gathered the other day, where I had people, we were sitting in this big room, there were 75 people there, sitting at round tables, and I had them shout out different referring agencies that they knew. around the city. And so they're saying like this hospital, an addiction recovery place, this homeless shelter, this individual counselor, sometimes they'll send families our way. So they're shouting out all these different names. And then what I did is I had them, if they had shouted out any name, stand up, and you could kind of see how there's a room of 75 people and maybe 10 people stand up, but they're dispersed throughout the room. And so what I was trying to highlight for them is My Village Ministries is not ever going to like be able to go out on the street, maybe in an impoverished neighborhood, banging a drum like, hey, you should take part in family preservation. But these families who are vulnerable are often reaching out for help in some other ways before they get to the point where abuse and neglect take place. Maybe they're in a homeless shelter. Maybe they're showing up in an ER and they have no plan for their kids, but mom needs admitted for some reason. Maybe they're going to like dip their toe in the water of, could I go get some addiction recovery help? But no, there's not a plan for my kids, so I'm going to leave and not get that help. Maybe they're having a mental health crisis and really struggling with suicide ideation or something like that. And so they're kind of reaching out a little bit into the system. And so it was so crucial that in that room of 75, that 10 people all over knew what family preservation was, knew how to send families our way. Those are people that are in the community already interacting with those families. And because family preservation is kind of a newer idea, even though we've been doing it 8 years in our city, and there are people who are really starting to catch on, because it's a newer idea, we have to just repetitively equip the community over and over in what it looks like to let a family know, hey, you could get help before it gets worse, or you could stay at the hospital today and there's a host family who can care for your kids. I know that's scary, but I've worked with this organization and you can trust them. They reunify 99.9% of the time. And so I think that teaching of that knowledge or that understanding of what family preservation is really at the heart of our community engagement strategy. Just like you have a strategy for how you're raising up churches, I have to have one for how I'm kind of repetitively sharing with the community what it is that we're doing, because it's so new. And people are slow to adapt or trust something that feels really new or unfamiliar to them, or maybe doesn't even make sense inside their own motivations. Like, well, I would never host a kid for free, so why would you? That doesn't make sense, so I don't trust it. So, we've worked hard to kind of build this community engagement strategy, and now are handing it off to the next generation. And we could talk to Dana Caldwell today about how she is taking some of the foundational ideas and making it more excellent and partnering with more people and putting more focus towards it. And I'm excited to hear from her what she has to say. And hopefully it really, at the end of this podcast, people have a really good idea how important it is to be an ambassador for what we're talking about, because it's just a new idea. And we need anybody that we can to say, I see this family that could be prevented from ending up in this situation. And so I'm going to say something, or I'm going to give them the right flyer, or whatever that is.
Yeah. No, you set a good, strong foundation there as we jump into conversation with Dana. I'm excited for the people to hear from Dana. Dana's done a great job of increasing the number of calls that we're getting in every single year, doubled this year.
Yeah, we
almost
doubled from 2024 to 2025.
And so she's done a great job of connecting, not just with any organizations out there, but also the right ones, but then also equipping them in a way to where some good referrals are coming in.
Yeah.
So be excited.
Yeah, be excited.
Because you get to hear from Dana.
You'll have beautiful Dana sitting here in a minute instead of Phil.
Yep. Get rid of my face.
All right, we're back with Dana Caldwell. She's in charge of all our community engagement now, but the main reason we had her on the podcast is because she loves speaking in public. No, she hates speaking in public and hates Phil and I for asking her to be on the podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, Dana, can you tell me just a little bit about yourself, how you came to meet My Village in the first place, and what you were doing before we snagged you away from there?
So I have always been in some type of social work category.
Okay.
I did hair. I was a barber. I was a preschool teacher. I worked at St. Vincent's as one of the behavior therapists for troubled children, and then I was a teenage drug counselor.
Yeah.
And then now I'm working with the family. I've always been in a field where it's about the family.
Yeah.
And so I go to a church that's really about family preservation. Our pastors, they have adopted children. We have lots of families in our church that do foster care. We linked them with My Village Ministries.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard about My Village Ministries, I decided it was something that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because I was already working with families that had children that really needed help.
Yeah.
The parents didn't know what to do with them. And I always found myself like, we can't really get to that child until we get to that parent.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I realized that, I was like, there has to be a way that we can really pour into the parent in order to get the child the help that the child needs.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we would have families who wanted us to fix their kid.
Yeah.
But the problem, unfortunately, starts within the parent. And so not having the tools to be able to empower the parent to be able to help that child better, it was kind of a burden for me. And so the job that I had didn't allow me to really share the gospel or really focus on the parent like I wanted to.
Yeah.
And so when I heard about My Village Ministries and what My Village Ministries did, I said that's where I needed to be. I wanted to be in a place where I could really be a part of empowering the parent and not so much the child right now.
Yeah.
And so with Potter's House, I started off as a coach, one of the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And then you all asked me on a staff member.
You didn't come looking for a job. You were just doing your full-time job and volunteering with the ministry. And our supervisors, and including myself, because I know you and I had several conversations when you were still a volunteer, were so impressed with the way that you came alongside parents.
Yeah.
It was almost like just how you were describing, like you had been waiting for this opportunity to sit in a mom's living room and be like, hey, here are some ways that you could be empowered too. Like your kid's not going to leave and we'll work on them. Then they come back into the exact same scenario and everything's fine. Like there's work for you because you work with a lot of parents with teens.
Yes.
And so there's work for you to do too, where the dynamic in the home can become healthy again. And then everybody has a better chance of being successful. And I just remember thinking like, man, Dana's willing to say the hard stuff. Like she's not afraid to go sit in someone's living room and be like, listen. And so it was a no-brainer. I think we talked about it because we were sensitive to the fact that you'd be leaving another full-time job and a lot of our staff is part-time. I think we talked about it for a while before we were finally like, we could not get off the idea that we had to ask you if you'd come work for us.
And I knew when Potter's House introduced My Village Ministries, I remember sitting in the congregation and God saying to me, that's where you're going to be. And I was like, they're not going to hire me. I'm a volunteer. Like I was just volunteering. But I remember God telling me that that's where he wanted me.
Before we even called you?
Yes.
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
And I was like, God, there's no way they don't have the funds. I need a full-time job, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when you all called me, I was like, wow, God, I really heard you.
Yeah.
It was,
Well, we do count on you to hear from the Lord. And we count on you to be quick with the gospel, man. You have some real giftings that have blessed the ministry a ton.
Oh.
One thing, though, that has been a huge blessing for me is you really have come alongside me in the community engagement that we were talking about. And you kind of took a foundational idea that I really wasn't having the time to focus on it with excellence. I was like, I take meetings when I can, just as in the way that my job had grown and changed. But you have taken it and really owned it. And you have that gift of tenacity to follow through and connect with these different referring partners. So tell me a little bit about what that job has been like and what you like about it, that piece of your job. You do several things with us, but
that part is, I'm happy that I'm in it because it was fairly easy for me to make the transition because again, the job that I had before, I had to find resources for these kids. I had to find the resources for the parents. So for me to transition to My Village Ministries and be a part of the agency engaging partnerships, that was kind of easy for me to start doing that. because I was already fairly familiar with
Yeah, you know
the
a lot of the
agencies
systems. Yeah.
that were out there and what they offered and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What ones have you seen change some since you took over? Like, oh, this one kind of barely knew who we were, and now
Mhm.
we have a strong partnership.
I would say the hospitals.
Mm.
I would say the hospitals are the biggest ones. I know we get a lot of referrals from Ohio Rise as well.
Yeah.
I feel like I think in my opinion, I think it can be desperation too. Like there's not a lot of agencies out there that really help like we do as far
Yeah.
as respite and
Yeah.
someone taking a child in their home and things like that. So I think part of it is just the desperation of needing some supports and not knowing the answer to give to these families who
Yeah.
desperately need that.
Yeah. I hear a lot of like, there's like this glazed look while you're talking until they all of a sudden are like, oh, you do
Yeah,
respite, or oh,
yeah.
you do childcare.
Yeah.
And so tell me, or tell like people who maybe are not familiar with it, how is what we're doing different than respite or childcare? It is most similar to respite.
Yeah.
But I think what social workers often want to hear is like, oh, you can provide childcare. So how is it different?
So what makes it different for us is the fact that number one, we do overnight hostings. That's the biggest thing. And then also we are not just a babysitter. We're not just taking kids in to give parents a break. What we're doing is we're helping that mom kind of look at her life from a holistic perspective. And then we help the mom with goals that she might have, and so while she's trying to focus on these goals, we are focusing on her kids. So she's not juggling too much. She's able to get her goals accomplished as well as know that her children are being taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really important distinction you have to make when you're talking to a caseworker who's trying to hear about it for the first time. They will often say like, yeah, can you just watch my kid?
Yeah.
Or these kids, no matter what the parents are doing. And actually, it's so much more empowering to their future if the parent has a goal that they're working on too. And the goal could be as simple as get better from this medical procedure you had.
Exactly.
But then sometimes that's just the tip of the iceberg. We find out like, oh, actually, when you get out of the hospital, you don't have safe housing to go back to. And so oftentimes we're looking at multiple things that.
And even the recovery centers, a lot of times they have families who are ready to get into recovery.
Yeah.
But the parents are thinking, well, I can't get into recovery because I don't have anyone to care for my child while I go away for a few weeks to 6 months, and so for us to be able to step in, it really relieves that family knowing that their child is going to be really taken care of well and loved well.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you, we had like just started building a stronger relationship with the hospital when you were starting to take over for me.
Yeah.
They had some hurdles they wanted to clear as far as making sure that we were not like forcing Christianity on any of the families that we served. And so those had been cleared. We had built an official partnership, but the hospital system in Ohio is huge.
Yeah.
What does it look like to, with excellence, stay connected and like kind of spread to everywhere that the hospitals are hitting? Because just because I talk to one person in an office doesn't mean that urgent care center that's way over in Pataskala or something, that they know what family preservation is. So how do we like build an excellent partnership?
I really have to get into the different departments.
Yeah.
Like when I'm like just last week, I was in I think it was the chaplains at Nationwide. And I just asked them, you have a unit for teenagers that are going through pregnancy and all that. How can I be linked with that person that heads the teenage unit to be able to talk to them about, if a teenage mom needs help or if other people need help? You just have to ask whatever department you're in because it's so big.
Yeah.
You either ask them to share who I can connect with, or ask them to share the information, or ask them if they want me to bring flyers to them or talk to their social workers or things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's a good point for like you also being so connected to the supervisor staff.
Mhm.
For people who don't know, you also supervise 1 to 2 hostings at a time.
Yeah.
And so you're part of the system that's like hearing the referrals and talking to the team and thinking through where good referrals would come from.
Yeah.
And so I think that gives you this mindset that I was probably starting to
Mhm.
lose, where like, oh, we need to be directly connected to this department with that's serving the
Right.
teen moms. Or I think that's allowed you to think really creatively there.
Yeah, because there's just hospitals are so big nationwide. I mean, I don't know how many meetings I've had at Nationwide.
I know.
It's so big, and I even have a resource fair that's coming up at Nationwide. So it's growing, and people hear about us, but they want to. It's almost like they want to hear us present us
Yes.
instead of hearing a coworker share
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah. So tell me about a resource fair. What is a resource fair for those who don't know?
So a resource fair is usually when an agency invites various agencies throughout Franklin County to come and share their brochures or just talk to people. They have families come in and just ask questions at all these tables that are sitting out of various agencies that help families. And
Yeah.
so it gives the families an opportunity just to go to each table, ask questions, get the flyers, pass them out to other people, and just really even networking.
Yes.
I've networked with a lot of
You're
other
like
agencies.
best friends with everybody by the time you leave that place.
Yes.
For people to picture it, there's like tables set up usually all around either an outside area or like a gym or something. And everybody has like a tablecloth on with their logo and flyers set out, sometimes some little goodies to give away. But you leave our table and go around and meet everybody, don't you?
And they usually let us do that in the very beginning when we're setting up. We just all walk around to the various tables and ask what you do. And, you know, and it really helps me because when I have my database, it gives me a chance to be able to put a contact person in my database. So if I wasn't sure I really understood what they were doing, I have this contact person that I can call and say, look, can you share more with me about what you do? Or can you link me with staff that would lead me in the right direction for whatever need that I have?
Yeah. Yeah. The system of hospitals and children's services and nonprofits in Franklin County is so diverse and complex.
It is.
That you really do have to have like this multi-pronged approach where you're showing up at a resource fair, but then you're also following up with all the people that you maybe met there.
Exactly.
You're also getting emails, like both of us will get emails sometimes from an organization saying, we heard about you, someone said we should connect. And then we will set up like a Zoom call where we present a slideshow and share what we do. You drive flyers around the city, give them to different organizations. So it really is
tours. I do tours of different facilities as well.
Yeah. And sometimes people will come here and present their ministry to our staff. So it really is like a pounding of the pavement. Like
it is.
And it's very repetitive because it's a high burnout field. A lot of these social workers and just different people that are interacting with vulnerable families, they're in their job for 18 months, 2 years, and then they move on. And so sometimes we're getting a ton of referrals from one location and then they stop because the person there who really like got the ministry and understood it has moved on to a different job.
Yeah.
And then you almost have to like go back in and
it's really again. Like we're, you know, it's like, I know we talk about individual isolation or family isolation, but even agency isolation, we can't do that either. I was thinking about that today. Like we can't isolate ourselves too. We have to go out and meet all the different people and do all the networking so we can come together as agencies, as a community of agencies. And so it's the same thing that, you know, it's important that we can't isolate, but we learn what's out there as well.
Yeah. Do you ever get a skeptical response from somebody you're presenting us to?
Sometimes I think the biggest thing is, does it matter what religious belief these families have?
Yeah.
And I usually tell them, no, you know, I've never had anyone turn down prayer. You know, we don't focus on, even though we are unapologetically Christian, we don't turn down anyone because we want to show the love of Christ and let them see how the love of Christ is, you know, demonstrated.
Yeah. Yeah. So they might show skepticism, but you're usually able to answer it well.
those are the biggest question is, do we turn down families that don't believe the way we do? Of course, the answer is no. And then the other question would be, are we fully vetted? Like, do we have to do,
are these host families
yeah,
safe?
yes. Do we have to do the background checks, whatever, and I'd explain to them all that we have to do. We have to do the home assessments. We have to do interviews with the parents. We have to do the BCI and FBI background checks. And I always share with them that what you told me to share with them, that we are written into the Ohio legislation to be able to host. So those things, they're like, okay, you're legit. You know what I mean?
Do you have any agency you can think of that went from like skeptical in your first meeting to now they're sending us a lot of people?
Not really.
Not one that sticks out to you?
Not really. I think they're, again, that desperation piece. I think they're like, okay, well, let's see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for them to just blatantly there's one, the homeless shelter.
Yeah, Van Buren Homeless Shelter. Yeah. I don't know if that ends well.
Yeah.
It's not one that turned into a great one, but they did say, like, we cannot partner with you.
I forgot about that one,
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But they said they've drawn this line in the sand where they don't partner with any faith-based organizations. And so even though I shared with them all that stuff you just said, they were like, if we say yes to one, then we have to say yes to them all. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean families who are staying there are not partaking in our hosting. It's just they won't put out our flyers or have us come meet directly with their families.
And the social workers do, right? They send families to us.
Yeah, they're all doing it on the side.
Yeah, doing it on the side.
It's just not an official partnership, which was what happened with Ohio Health. That was a big deal, is there were lots of people doing it on the side for a while, but now we have an official partnership with them where their like top level has said, yes, this is an approved agency. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why it's been growing a lot. So,
and it's good to know that we're linked with Children's Services as well. That's a big one for us. I forgot to say that, but that's a big one
that
for
precedes me. Phil took that meeting with Franklin County Children's Services. Was it maybe like a year after you guys had started? I know you wanted to build, they wanted to build some rapport in the city and show like we kind of know what we're doing a little before we go talk to Franklin County. But when they talked to them, they said, we are unapologetically a faith-based organization. Mm-hmm. Like the families that will be hosting are believers, they're Christians. And then they shared all the stuff that you said, like we're non-proselytizing, nothing is forced. But the person that he was talking to said, we don't care, we need the help. So they were just really overwhelmed. And hopefully, they're still our number one referring partner as far as a single agency. And so hopefully they have just grown more and more convinced as they've partnered with us.
And they don't say it, but we are the answer, because Jesus is the answer and we're connected with him, you know, and when they get desperate or they don't know what to do, they come to us. And I think God set it up that way. That somehow, some way you're going to connect with us because we have the answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What would be if you were talking to an organization that had like not heard of family preservation or us, and they were kind of like, why is this helpful? Like, why is this needed? What would be your answer to them?
Like I said earlier, is that we need each other as a community. None of us have all the answers to what these families need. And so creating this network of people that are going to work together to help these families, I think that's huge for all of us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think you can almost appeal to their care for the family. Like sometimes I'll start a conversation with a caseworker or something like that, and they're all business. Like, well, do you do background checks, and do you do this or that, and why aren't you paying your people or whatever? They're kind of asking their lined up questions, which are good questions. They want to know that they're sending people somewhere safe. But then when we get into like, can you imagine the impact on this family if they were supported before abuse and neglect took place? And you start to appeal to like, you and me are the same. We both care about this family. We both don't want to see this family back in our addiction recovery center or something. And when I went and spoke with the Bexley Police Department, one of our host dads is a detective with them. And so he was sharing his story a little bit, and they were having a hard time kind of understanding, like, how do the police refer people to us? Like, why does this matter? And he told them, can you imagine the families that we get called over and over to their houses for domestic disputes, and on the 7th call, something terrible has happened? Mm-hmm. He was like, what if on the first call, you could tell that family that there's a community that wants to support you, help care for your kid while you get your feedback, a coach who's going to walk alongside you. And it was like the lights went on in
Yeah.
all the policemen's eyes. Like, okay, I hate getting called 7 times in a row. And then
Yeah.
the 7th time it's terrible.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true, whether you know Jesus or not. The same thing is true if you're working in a hospital and you're watching a family come in over and over. If you're at a homeless shelter and you've watched a family struggle to get on their feet for a long time, there is something maybe that is hardening in you from watching so much hard all the time. But there's that thing deep inside that's like, I just want these families to be okay, to be successful. And I think we can appeal to that when we're sharing our ministry.
And I say that a lot when I'm doing presentations about our objectives, and as far as not keeping families isolated and preserving the family and making sure that we're preventing neglect and abuse and what other, I can't think of the ones off the top of my head.
Yeah.
The
prevent, reduce, and repair childhood trauma. Yeah.
So I mention all of those things and they're like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
then when I read the statistics, they're like, wow.
Yeah.
And so it really, I think that softens them up too, to kind of see that we've done the research on what it looks like and what it looks like when a family doesn't get help.
Yeah. And I think it's an honor. Like the social work field is shockingly liberal. In a surprising way to me that, you would think it would be believers that are mostly doing this heavy, hard lift of emotional connection and support for vulnerable families. But it's a very liberal field. And I think it is an honor, even if it's one conversation at a time, to share with the world, here's what the church has to offer for free because we love God's people. And I do think that you have these like lights in their eyes moments where somebody's like, oh, okay. I had a meeting not that long ago with an organization that is extremely liberal. They were asking me to speak at an event, and I knew they wouldn't want me to speak at the event once they found out we were a pro-life organization. But I took the meeting with them anyways, and just was I shared our whole expectant family model and how we wrap around the families and support them and drive them and babysit them. And this girl is just like, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing. And we got to the end of the call where she was wanting me to then come speak at their event. And I was like, she had talked some about reproductive rights. And I was like, I need you to know before you have me there that we are unapologetically a pro-life organization. And what pro-life means to us is everything I just told you that you said was so amazing. It's walking alongside people for the long haul. It is getting into the mess of their lives and caring about them and supporting them. And she didn't have me speak at her event, but there was this moment where she maybe was seeing for the first time what the pro-life movement could be, not just her negative perception of people holding up signs with terrible pictures on them or yelling at people or whatever her perception was. And so I don't know if she'll ever think about that conversation again, but there was a moment where she was like, after I told her we were pro-life, where she said, thank you so much for what you do. We won't be able to have you speak at the event, but you guys have a really cool model.
And that March for Life, I did the fair for the March for Life. And I felt like I was busy the whole time sharing about My Village Ministries. And then I got so many other connections for people who wanted to get involved in some way. And so that spoke volumes.
I think it is a chance for the church to be salt and light, even when we don't get all the way to the gospel conversations, which I still know you want to share the actual gospel with every person you talk to. And I want to do better at that too. But even when we don't, we get this opportunity to be salt and light and say, the church is not what you've thought it is. Here's what the church could be in our community. And so I think that's part of why community engagement is so important. And you are doing a phenomenal job at it. I'm so thankful for you. Is there anything that's like new or next, like we're going to really work on this year, this partnership?
I just feel like we need to get more African American churches involved. I don't know what it would take to do that. But I feel like
it'll be this clip of you talking about.
But I feel like that needs to be done. There's so many other churches that we need to tap into. There's, I don't know, thousands of churches within Franklin County. And we have 30. There's 30 to 100 more. And so I just wish there was a way that we could get all cultures involved.
And we have really we are really excited to do that and to figure out how to do it well.
Yeah.
And so we're always open to ideas. Would love to hear from people if they have ideas for how we can partner better. But I agree, there's a lot of churches in this city that can say yes in a new way. We also are this year working on partnering, hopefully more intentionally, with some of the prison systems.
Yeah.
If we have moms who give birth in prison,
We are, yes.
we have some families who can say yes to those longer term hostings.
Yes.
And in addiction recovery too. I think we're trying to build those partnerships stronger. So the Lord's definitely on the move.
Yeah.
You never know what a year will bring. Okay, because Phil asked this too, and because I want to hear your answer.
Phil.
No, I asked it actually to Phil, but I want to hear your answer. What's the worst job you've ever had?
The worst job that I ever had was working in a mail room, sorting mail.
Really? What was it for?
So I was probably
like UPS or something?
It was just it was a partnership with the post office. Like they had, what is it called? Where they have, I don't know. It was a partnership with the post office. They had their own mail room. So I would go and sort mail. I was probably 20 years old, and I was.
What were you sorting it by? Like state that it was getting mailed to?
And
like
zip
Indiana's
code,
going over here.
Zip
by
code.
zip code.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I did that for a while. I was doing that, and I was in school. And I was working.
Well, they probably didn't even have AirPods and podcasts back then, so you could be entertained.
Well, I was 20, so I had just graduated from cosmetology school, so I was still building clientele.
Okay.
And I wasn't making enough money. So what I did was I worked in the mailroom at night to supplement. That's what happened.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
that sounds terrible.
But yep, I was.
Were there other people so you could at least talk to some people?
Yeah. And we were standing the whole time.
Oh gosh, that would kill your back.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my worst job.
That sounds terrible. So do you like working for My Village more than the mail?
Absolutely.
Even on the worst days when it's really heavy and hard, you still do?
Yes.
Okay.
I do, because I know God is with me and he's empowering me to do the things that I find difficult, like this interview.
This is the worst part of her job. You did such a good job, though. You were so natural. You didn't even sound nervous. Oh, man. Well, it's almost over. All you have to do is listen to me tell you how wonderful you are. And then you have to say tomorrow's the next day with me, because that's how we always end.
Okay.
So I will end saying you have brought real excellence to this role.
Thank
and
you.
I have so much hope and excitement about where it's going from here, too. I think that even as My Village plants in new cities, you're going to help teach the people that are doing this role there how to do it well. And I think that you do an excellent job showing that the church is salt and light to the world.
To God be the glory.
To God be the glory. Amen. He is doing something through you.
Thank you.
Okay, ready? Tomorrow's the next day.
I said day.
She just said day.